Good afternoon and welcome once again to the Polity, reaching you live from the Abuja studios of Kaftan Television. Right now I've been joined in the studio by the Senate President for NANS. He is Atta Felix. He's here to speak with me on the issues of politics around zoning of principal offices at the National Assembly, and also to touch a little bit on the elections for March 18, the state elections and the state assembly elections. Welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Good to have you. All right. We'll go ahead now and go straight into the matter. You're the Senate President of the National Association of Nigerian Students, so you have a level of experience when it comes to the legislative aspects of things. What's your take about, or before we go specifically into the matter, let's talk about the election itself, the outcome, the results, the reactions. What's your take on the whole process before we move over to the politics of Senate?
Okay. First and foremost, I think let me use this opportunity to commend Nigerians and to congratulate them for having allowed this election to be conducted peacefully. In no area or regions in the country that we got information that people were stopped from coming to discharge their fundamental rights, which is voting their leaders as enshrined in the constitution of this great country. So I must commend Nigerians, and as a union, I think the elections for presidency, which held on the 25th of February, has come and gone, and a leader has emerged. And INEC has been saddled with the responsibility constitutionally, has declared a winner. And I think the APC candidate emerged as the winner of that election. So the aftermath of it is for us Nigerians to accept the result, and to also believe that irrespective of our various religious beliefs, that even as Christians, Apostle Paul tells us that as Christians you must pray for your leaders. So it's very important that we pray for His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is the president-elect, and for God to strengthen him and give him good health, so that when sworn in as the president of this country, he will have all the energy and health to lead this country and bring in policies that will take this country to greater heights.
All right, that's fair enough. Quickly, but what about people who are not, okay with the results? What do you say to them? There are people who've gone to court. We had some candidates saying that even if you must go to court, you should, at the very least, congratulate the winner. Do you think that's necessary, or should everyone find out at the end of the day what the judiciary has to say on the issue?
Okay, for fairness, irrespective of various observations or reservations you might have as a person in regards to the elections that held on the 25th of February 2023, I think there is every need for everybody who is not satisfied. The last place and the hope for the common man is to go to court. So for the Nigerian people, the empire that is saddled with the responsibility to conduct elections has declared a winner. So if the court gets a contrary view in regards to the declaration that INEC made, of course, the court will ask INEC to declare whosoever the court sees that legitimately won the election. But for now, elections were conducted and Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu was declared winner with having scored the highest vote as announced by INEC. So he is the president-elect. So it is expected that if you have issues, you go to the court and seek justice. And then in the issues of congratulating, there are also various aspirants that have also congratulated the president-elect and all of that. And ours as an organization, what we always see is to talk to our teeming million members and our populace, which is the youth, that you don't allow anybody to give you stipends or to mislead you in creating an act that you will regret tomorrow. Protest will not create any solution for this issue. So protesting to INEC or protesting on the streets of the Federal Capital Territory will not solve the issues of whatsoever justice that somebody is crying out for. So our advice is that those who are not satisfied with the result, you approach the court to seek justice. But for now, there is a president-elect who is President, His Excellency Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Right, that's fair enough. Perhaps later we'll talk more about, now that results have been announced, how the students, would hope to, key into the government, being that it has been accepted the way forward. But before we get there, let's move over to the issue of Senate. What are your thoughts about the 10th Assembly and what we should expect as regards the various offices and the dynamics, really, taking into account different things? We have the issue of balancing religion, balancing ethnicity, and so on and so forth. What are your analysis on the matter?
My brother, it will interest you to know that Nigeria has recorded a successful history as far as this great country was baited. This is the first time that we have a multi-party participation at the National Assembly. You have representatives from the YPP, you have representatives from the Labour Party, you have representatives from the APC, you have representatives from the PDP. Of course, there are going to be diverse ideas, and we will not be mortgaged into a one-party system. I believe that the 10th Assembly will be very, very interesting. The 10th Assembly is going to be very, very interesting. I tell you that ideas will be shared in that assembly. In that assembly, for policies that will help this country, I am believing that people will not talk about a one-sided government. Our legislators that we have on board, of course, you have it there, that there are governors who wanted to return as legislators, and they were defeated. That's to tell you that in this dispensation, Nigerians were able to come out and say, no, in the little that we gave you, you underperformed. So there's need for you to shift way for somebody else to do. So if a sitting governor can lose senatorial bid, of course, my brother, then you should know that the masses believe in whosoever person that they gave that ticket to. So the 10th Assembly is going to be very, very interesting. I trust and believe that in making composition of the House, the members will do justice in making sure that they select credible people, people with proven integrity, people with the capacity to pilot the affairs of the legislative arm. Very, very important and sacrosanct.
All right, you've already mentioned how Nigerians took matters into their hands and decided that these are the people who allow and will vote for. What do you make of some persons who won that people say, were not well known or won off of, or in addition to the the momentum of their presidential candidates? Take for instance, in Kaduna, we have one of the House of Reps from Labour Party who is said or was said to be a bike rider in the past, and we also had reports of a candidate in Enugu who used to be a bus driver. That being said, what do you make of these persons who won, and what can be expected of them? Do you think they would be able to hold their ground, especially when they are standing next to people who have been in the Senate or the House of Reps for years on end? But before you answer that, I'd just like to let our viewers know that our phone lines are now open, so you can call in and join the conversation. Please go ahead.
The 10th Assembly, in regards to your question, is going to be very interesting because there are also legislators that are returning for the 4th time. So there is going to be a house of experience. So for those that are coming for the first time, I want to tell you, my advice and my word for them is that this is an opportunity that should not be taken for granted. And of course, there was a wind that came, which was a wind of change. And that wind gave them the opportunity to emerge, irrespective of the party differences that they had. So I want to say, like the examples you gave about the bike rider, the taxi driver, and all of that. The House is also seen as a learning ground where somebody will share the idea of what his constituents are passing through. And these issues will be deliberated in the House. And if all the members key into it by saying reasons why this should be passed as a bill or as a law, of course, there will be voting, and the House will do justice to that. So I want to say that for first-timers, it is a learning ground for them, but also they have experienced hands in the House that will make them get positive impact and participate accurately and appropriately as expected of them. Of course, there are serving senators, there are former governors who emerge as re-elected in the House. There are current principal officers that seek re-election who also emerge. Let me take, for example, Senator Ojus Okalu of Abia State. He's a former governor. I tell you, this is one man who is also a principal officer in the current 9th Assembly. Of course, he's holding one of the most sensitive positions, which is the chief whip. You know what the chief whip is. As the chief whip, you're responsible in the sanity and the disciplinary measures in the House. Of course, you will tell me, the 9th Assembly has not recorded any controversy or any trouble whatsoever that you will now say that in the principal officers they were unable to harness or coordinate the peaceful coexistence of various parties in the House. So I want to tell you that for those people that seek re-election, that were elected back by their constituents, it is very, very important that we'll see how we give them the opportunity to also pilot the affairs of the House.
That's fair enough. We'll still talk about those positions, but there's something happened. I'd like to get your thoughts on it. In the 9th Assembly, currently, we have about, I think, 9 or 8 female senators. But in this 10th Assembly, only 3. We're going to be having 3 female senators. What do you think happened, and how do you think we can get back on track? Because the issue has always been trying to get 35%, and we weren't there before, but now we've even gone lower. What do you think is happening, and how can women, have more chances at that level?
For me, my perception on this question is, aside people going on social medias, women must be carried along 35% and all of that, I think we need to do more. Aside the sensitization, for those that are privileged to have resources, how have you been able to bring out these resources to get the female participation, the ladies who have something austere? We have ladies that are doing incredibly very, very well. How do you encourage them? Because our politics in Africa goes with resources too. I tell you that in this last election, strategically, I feel that we have a low number in the National Assembly because maybe they failed to strategically key into various political parties. But I tell you, let me give you a close example. The lady that emerged in FCT here in Abuja. Of course, you know that this is one lady that has the spirit of doggedness. She's resilient in all that she seeks. She's one woman that never gives up. So I want to tell you that our ladies will stop waiting for people to just come and help them. You also need to take the bold step. You take the bold step, and then when people see you, when people see that you also have all it takes, that the enthusiasm is there, that of course, what you just did is a little support for you to achieve your dream. Of course, I tell you, people will key into it. But by the time we begin to say, we are waiting so that our quota can be given to us 35%, my brother, I tell you, you will be there, and you, at the end of the day, you will see that one person will not even participate. So for me, my call to our mothers, our sisters, the ladies, is that we should do more in availing ourselves at the public space where people will see the seriousness, the commitment, and all it takes, so that we'll be able to create the difference, and it will not be seen like the males are marching or trampling on their rights in whatsoever way. So for me, I think we need to do more. The ladies need to also do more to avail themselves. All right.
Well, I'd like to get your thoughts on the specific issue in Kogi State, where we had the PDP senatorial candidate Natasha Polity complaining that the governor tried to muscle her, destroy the roads leading up to the house and all of that. Do you think sometimes women might also be facing some undue forces stopping them from going ahead?
In regards to that incident, I think whoever that did such has claimed it is irresponsible, and as people who believe in the Constitution and the fundamental human rights of every individual. I think nobody should be obstructed when seeking elections or whatsoever. And for the allegations that the governor of Kogi State had did everything possible to obstruct her from voting and from doing the needful in regards to her thing, I think we have the court of law there, where you have such litigation, when you have such challenges, when you have such challenges being melted on citizens as from the chief executive of the state. What is expected is that you seek the court, you approach the court so that the court will do justice to it. So my message out there to whosoever that thinks that that melting some of this kind of should I say models in making sure that you stampede whosoever you have seen that is a force in reckoning with the election, that it is unacceptable and it doesn't tell well about you, because today you might be the governor, tomorrow you might not be. So but for that allegation, I don't know if that allegation is true, because I also know His Excellency the governor of Kogi State as a law-abiding citizen and one of us, a man who our organization as NANS has always reckoned with. That's Alhaji Yahya Adoza Bello, who was also the director of youth for Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu's election. So I think such actions as alleged shouldn't be taken for granted if they really exist.
Right, that's fair enough. So let's talk about the principal offices, like we said. I'll roll out a list of some former Senate presidents. Let's start from 2000 to 2003. We had Anyom Pius Anyim. 2003 to 2005, we had Adolphus Wabara. 2005 to 2007, Ken Nnamani. Now, for the last three, I'm about to roll out the last three Senate presidents. David Mark, 2007 to 2015, Bukola Saraki, 2015 to 2019, and Ahmed Lawan, 2019 till present. Now, these three persons from the north, and I believe, I think two of them were Muslims. So I wonder, what do you think will go into this election this time around? You already made mention of Senator Orji Uzor Kalu, who many people are touting as the possible next Senate president. But there have also been speculations that the former Edo State Governor and APC National Chairman, Adams Oshomole, who is the Senator-elect for Edo North Senatorial District, will also be in the 10th Assembly. And, he has a camaraderie with the President-elect. But it's his first time. It's important to note that this is the first time that former Governor Adams Oshomole will be in the Senate. So what do you think are the factors that will be considered at the end of the day that will lead to the president, taking into account that the president himself is a Muslim, his vice is a Muslim, his vice is also from the north, all of these things put into consideration. And currently the Speaker, House of Representatives, is also a Muslim. So how do you think this will pan out?
Let me take this item by item. First and foremost, let's talk about the polity of how the principal officers should be selected. For us, it is very, very important that the president-elect and the ruling party, who are fortunate to be the one to produce the president-elect, they should put in so many factors into consideration. Upon the preparation towards this 2023 election, there have been so many cries and so many rumors that the Southeasterners were not going to participate in this election. But you will agree with me that the results that were collated by the INEC chairman, the Southeasterners participated in this election fully. Of course, that is to say that they are part of this country. They are part of this country, they need to be elected, they voted, and their people were also voted in to fill in various positions at the National Assembly, irrespective of various political parties. I want to say that if the APC sees that there is need for them to clinch into power, even in the next dispensation of election, there is need for them to have fairness, equity, and justice as they share the positions for the principal officers in the House in the National Assembly. And that brings me to where I will talk about the positions in the National Assembly should not be shared by who the president-elect is more comfortable with. I believe Nigerians voted him based on the blueprints and the track record he has, even when he served as the governor of Lagos State. So it is very important that for him to have a very solid and good, smooth running activities of this great country, there is need for us to have competent hands and people who have experience as far as the legislative business is concerned. I want to tell you something. When I came on board as Senate President of NANS, I knew that there was a tax saddled on me, which was to superintend over 420 student union presidents. My brother, I used the experiences I got during my undergraduate as a senator in the SUG. You must listen to people. You must make sure that there is balance and checks in all that you do. So it is very important that His Excellency Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, our president-elect, understands that the country is so diverse that there is need for us to have national integration and holistic carried along. Everybody must be carried along. Of course, people had agitated that there is need for the Southeast to be given a chance in presidency. But since the votes, the voting system and the elections that held brought in somebody from the Southwest, of course, his running mate is from the North. There is need for us to understand that to make the Southeasterners have a feel of governance, there is need for the Southeasterners to be put into consideration and priority when bringing in the leadership of the National Assembly. And just like you say, we have competent hands. We have competent hands. If we have a former chief whip of the House, a current serving chief whip of the House, a former governor who has been a sequential and a repeated House Senate member at the floor, it is very, very important that I let you know here that the Southeasterners also have capable people, capable hands that if given the opportunity or if zoned, that let the Southeasterners produce this, that will be very, very important. And I trust and believe that for the president-elect, the man I know, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he's not one man that will play regional politics. He's not one man that will play politics based on religious or whatsoever, or friendship. He's one man that, I tell you, that in the next dispensation, if elections are conducted, you will see that there will be a holistic, positive turnout in the votes that he will get from the Southeast. And in doing that, it starts from now. You must make sure that you will make these people understand that we are into this. We have listened to your cries. We must work towards making sure that we are all one.
All right, that's fair enough. You said something interesting that, it could be reciprocated, in the next election. But there were some comments that the president-elect made during the course of his campaign that might have people a little bit worried. When he was campaigning in the Southeast, he made mention of, or implied that they have to do their part. And he said, if you do not do so, in his own words, you might not get more than I think a soaked bread, one of his analogies anyway. But the message was that the Southwest has to do the work. Now, the issue now is, going by the results, the Southwest was taken by one candidate entirely. Almost over 90% votes went to Peter Obi of the Labour Party. Do you think this might in any way affect when these discussions are being had? Because not because we're trying to cast any aspersions on the president-elect, but by his own words that you should put in the work. Even the PDP candidate at the point, while speaking to his candidates, his party members told them that if you do not deliver your polling units, do not expect much from me. So that being said, now that the Southeast seems to have overwhelmingly voted for one candidate and that candidate did not emerge, does this hurt their chances in any way?
You see, just like I earlier said, that we have set the ball rolling. And when you say they have set the ball rolling, the languages that were used during campaigns cannot be used in administrative policies or when elected. I tell you, there is a very clear example of what happened. While the president-elect, His Excellency Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was traveling around for his campaigns, it was out there on the social media, people trying to find faults in one way, in one rally to the other, and all of that. And we had some time that where I was talking with my contemporaries, and I told them that if you know the stress of campaigning, of traveling from one state to the other for rallies, you will know that some of these mistakes are bound to happen. Upon the first day he was declared the winner of the flag bearer for that political party, Nigerians that I know, that was when the pressure started. And it was demonstrated shortly after when he was declared the winner of this election. The speech he delivered was excellent, eloquent, and he was holding no paper. That's to tell you that some of those mistakes that people were trying to capitalize on or whatsoever, they were the stress and pressures of campaigning and doing all the politicking to make sure you get the people to vote you in. So let me tell you that trying to quote him from whatever he said in the Southeast, he was not saying this is what he will implement. I think he was talking in regards to an aspirant coming out there to see how he can bring in the agility in people so that they can do their part. This is politicking, trying to make sure he woos them to his side so that they can come out to give him those votes. Of course, one of the things he needed was just to get a 25% at that region from some of these states to make sure he gets it and move ahead. So for me, I don't think looking at the results that you will now say because these people did not allow you win in their states, that you will stop what you think will bring peace and peace in the country automatically. Of course, it will not only bring peace, but it will bring justice and equity as far as the leadership will be concerned. So it is very, very important that the president-elect doesn't toil through that path of paying back those who did not vote very well for him with impunity or whatsoever. But I know, just like I said in my earlier statement, that this is one man that understands politics very well. This is one man that will not want to pass through the stress he passed through in this dispensation in trying to seek election. He will want to get it well. Of course, you know that this man was able to sustain his political party as governor in his state. Back then, he would do everything possible to make the Southeasterners believe in his government. And how would they believe in his government? They can only believe in his government if they are also being carried along. And being carried along is not by coming to share money. It's by making people from the Southeast part of the leadership of the country. And of course, we will know that we are all part of it. As Nigerians, we are all one. So there will be no point for people to cry foul play. So I believe that the leadership of the APC, in trying to do the zoning, they will put in equity and justice into consideration, where the Southeasterners will be put in front. And my last message, you will remember that when you were calling the former Senate president,
yes,
in the 1999 to 2003, the Southeasterners had over 4 persons as Senate president.
Yeah.
Our message today is that the Southeasterners as a house should also keep their house in order. If you have a good candidate, package this candidate, present this candidate so that this candidate can holistically be accepted. You don't go blackmailing, backbiting, hitting the polity just because you feel you want somebody else to come in. Of course, when you have a divided house, that house cannot stand. So it is very, very important that the Southeasterners should do themselves well by galvanizing support behind the people or the persons they have in the house that are experienced, that are within the ruling political party, the party that won the election in the just concluded presidential election, so that that person will be the leader of the National Assembly, that's the Senate House, and the House of Rep, irrespectively. Very, very important.
All right, Sam, that's fair enough. When we talk about history, we remember some things that happened perhaps the way it might not have been expected. We know that around 2015 to 2019, the preferred candidate, so to speak, or the word on the grapevine was that the preferred candidate back then was Ahmed Lawan and Femi Gbajabiamila. But interestingly, during that period, neither of those candidates got to be Speaker or Senate till 2019 when President Buhari was re-elected. We recall that what happened in some manner was, some senators going to a place and then the others coming quickly, reconvening, electing who they wanted and running with it. And it happened because a lot of those senators weren't from the ruling party. So that being said, you've already spoken about how diverse this 10th Assembly will be. Do you see any chance of the opposition having a more organized or a bigger say? Now, the way it is, it seems as though the APC cannot just make laws because they are majority. They don't have that full majority where everything they want goes the way they want. They still need elements from the opposition. How do you think the opposition will approach the 10th Assembly? Well, before you answer, let's take a call from one of our regular callers there. Elder Zion, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It's so good to hear from you.
Thank you. Well done.
Welcome, sir. Sir, what's your contribution for the program?
Okay, yes, thank you. Mr. Amadi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
Good
sir.
afternoon.
Thank you. Please, I want to contribute on the conversation.
Yes, go ahead, please.
I thank God for the analyst there. Hitting the nail on the head. I thank God for his analytical prowess. He's talking the truth and he's godly. But one thing is there. For me, as a person, I don't think that God has proposed number 3 seats for people in this dispensation. Now, God proposed number 1. And by God's grace, it will come to pass. Having said that, I use this opportunity to tell you boss in Lagos to stay calm, and then be wise like a serpent, and they have legs like a dove. What took them to Lagos is to make money, to feed themselves and their families. It's not for politics, because Nigeria is not one. Nigeria is not one. They should mind their business, and any politics in Lagos for the Yoruba who have already told them that they are not careful, so that his life and their properties will be conserved. Thank you very much.
Thank you for calling.
God bless Nigeria and bless all of you there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for calling, Elder Zion. As one of our very regular callers. It's been a while I've heard from him. So it's good to hear from you, Elder Zion. Thanks for calling. Although I will have to disagree with you, even though it's been a while, Nigeria is one. Thank you so much for calling. So like I was saying, what are your thoughts on how the opposition will move in the 10th Assembly?
My advice to every legislator in the 10th Assembly will be in seeking principal officers. Why playing the politicking and all of that? Let's elect people with proven integrity, with competence, and people who have track records. And I keep insisting on this because when a leadership is not experienced, when a leadership does not have all it takes in its past record to coordinate a house, that leadership cannot for any reason implement or make laws that will bind this country. they cannot make policies that will help the executive arm in piloting the affairs of this country. So it is very important that we keep the party politics aside and make sure that we check people who are availing themselves for these various principal offices, their capacity, their personality, and the past records that they have. And in line with that, I also want to pass a message, not just to the opposition party, but to the ruling party, for them to clinch power, for what happened in 2015 not to repeat itself. It is very important that they make their zoning arrangement very, very fair, where equity, justice will be interpreted, and there must be fairness. And that is where I'm telling you, of course, my brother, let me be very open here. Of course, so many people emerge as senators with the Labour Party tickets. So, as a ruling party, when you come with the sentiments that no, because they did not vote for us, they did not do the needful as expected, what do you think? And then you stop people who are coming from that region from being people that will benefit from your zoning arrangement. My brother, the other parties, the other senators from other parties will go the other way to go and give whosoever that rebels that decision, and they will lose. Yes, the ruling party will lose. So the ruling party must take responsibility in making sure that there is fairness, there is equity and justice in trying to share the positions in the principal or the principal offices. And I must tell you that the Southeasterners must be considered in each and every decision that should be taken. That is the only reason why we will have a better covered administration. So that agitations don't even begin to come from various places. My brother, you can take, for instance, upon the election period that we have passed through, have you heard that IPOB or whatsoever group in the Southeast went to attack INEC officers that were supervising or superintending over elections? No, because they believe in the process. They want the process to come. And that is why we've had a peaceful election that was not obstructed in all the regions. So it is very important that we carry everybody along. If the ruling party brings in somebody who struggled to even win election in his constituency, who used just money to get the position, of course people will not vote him, and of course they will lose. And I want to tell you, they will begin to fight. You will now see that the house will not be in order because they want to impeach and all of that. How can a house that is fighting itself be able to bring in laws that will help this country? They will forget the masses and then they will be playing the polity in the house. So we want a house that will be coordinated. We want a house that will be led by well-experienced people, by people who don't back but give actions. I tell you, my brother, the current leadership of the 9th Assembly, whether people call them rubber stamp or whatsoever, I want to tell you, they have been able to exercise discipline and sanity as far as this house is concerned. And I expect that as legislators and people that make the rules and the laws of this nation, that it is very important that the party makes a zoning process in a way that they will be able to produce all the principal officers and there will be no crisis or controversies in that election. And I want to tell you that they have all it takes. They have people out there, even in the Southeast, that won with the All Progressive Congress ticket in the Southeast. And if somebody will win in the Southeast with an All Progressive Congress ticket, then you should know that person has capacity. That person has all it takes to be included, so that he can always be there to also represent his people and his region. So it is very, very important.
All right. I think we've done justice to this issue. So I'd really now like to get your thoughts. Today is March 15. We're just about 3 days to the governorship elections and state assembly elections. What are your thoughts ahead of it? Bearing in mind that the election we've had February 25th, what are the lessons learned and the recommendations ahead of the governorship elections for INEC and for voters?
So many places that we had lacunas and gaps in the elections that was held on the 25th of February 2023. Better analysts and experts in politics and all of that are always out there in the media space to break down why there was need for us to have a progressive mechanisms to stop this in the first place. And the fact that elections that held were counted and were declared, it is very important that the election empire, which is INEC, should look at areas where they had challenges and try to improvise and advance so that those challenges will not be in reoccurrence. It is very important that we don't make promises when we have not seen the aftermath of what it will take. Because most of the people were crying were, they so much believed that the process was going to be on 100%. But my brother, I tell you, there's no process that can be 100%. So, but for us, we believe that the election empire is doing well and they need to sit up as expected. If the constitution has given them all it takes to make sure that they do the needful for elections to hold, they have the sole responsibility. So they should also know that it is a tax on them to make sure that the errors that were discussed during the last collation of the presidential elections are not discussed. Because if they are discussed, people will see it as deliberate acts to truncate the process. So for INEC to regain its own confidence, they must make sure that some of those logistics errors that played in the last elections are not repeated. We must do everything possible so that the beavers will work effectively. We must do everything possible so that returning officers will get to their polling units on time. We will do everything possible to give people access to materials so that they can vote and stay there to count their votes so that these votes can be collated and be declared. So I think the election empires have learned from the challenges that they faced, and it is believed that they will do everything possible to get results.
All right, so back to the issue of the electorate. Well, what do you tell them, ahead? Some who felt disappointed and so on and so forth. What message do you have for them? March 18, should they come out again?
It is just very glaring. Our appeal out there will be to tell them that it is your civic responsibility and you must come out to cast your vote. If you don't come out, you will not get the right person elected as governor. You will not get the right person elected as a House of Assembly member. So, we must not look at the challenges and the logistics problems that INEC had in the last election that happened and say you will not come out to participate. We must all come out collectively in mass. And I want to encourage that the total turnout should even be in mass. Let's have a multi-turnout where we will vote the right people that we want as governors and House of Assembly members. Of course, you know that some of the challenges we have in amending the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is that the House of Assembly members that we've had in the time past, that they show nonchalant attitude and all of that. So this is the right time for us to come out and vote assembly members that can sit down there. If the governor, the chief executive of the state is not doing well, they impeach him and take him out of on seat. So it is very important that the process is not complete yet. There is need for us to come out massively on the 18th to vote for our assembly members and vote for our choices as far as the governorship ticket is concerned, irrespective of the state and party at all. Let's listen to their manifesto. Let's check their track record. Let's do everything possible to make sure that we get it right, even in our states. When the federal government accepted that they were going to implement the minimum wage, so many governors were not comfortable with that. So that is to tell you that the minimum wage in itself had faced challenges from the governors. So how do you settle such issues? You settle such issues by making sure that you get the right foundation. The House of Assembly members and the governors that will elect should be people with proven integrity, people who have the future of Nigeria at heart, people who have decided that the cry of the masses is their problem, not people who will leave their various states and come and stay in Abuja for all the executive lives that they want to live. We want people who will remain in their state capital and listen to the cries and the yearnings of the masses in their state. So people must come out on the 18th to vote for their preferred choice of candidate for governorship and House of Assembly members, my brother.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Senator Felix, for coming and for your thoughts today. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
All right, like you heard from the Senate President there, you should do your best to come out, cast your votes, and stand to defend them so that you get the best of representation and the best of government at the level closest to you, which is from the states and down to the local governments. That aside, like we said yesterday, we had a conversation with legal practitioner Victor Opatola, who actually took INEC to court for the issue of temporary voters' cards. So if you are one of those persons, one of the millions of persons who was able to register to vote but could not get your permanent voters' card, you can't go out and vote. That is what the law says. INEC is yet to appeal that decision, and even if it does appeal, until that case is done, the subsisting judgment stands. So if you are one of those, you can go out there and cast your vote. If you already have your permanent voters cards, by all means, go out there and cast your vote. Like we always say, it is much easier to rig elections or to manipulate when there are less people out there. The more people that go out, the less we'll see more of these inconsistencies. We've heard reports of voters bringing generators, bringing data from their phones, lights, cover, just to ensure that their votes count. This is the spirit of the Nigerian people, and this is what we expect to see again on March 18. I do hope if you're one of those, you'll be out there to cast your votes. Now, we'll leave you now with some updates over the week, and then be sure to join us once again every weekday, 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. for the Polity reaching you live from Abuja. Have a nice day. I am Amadine Obewe.